I'm in the middle of a video series, Magnus Carlsen's Top 10 Best Finishes. I went through all of Carlsen's games and picked out the finishes that I like the best. So it's very subjective, but I hope you're enjoying these games too. I also only went up to 2012 because I've covered many Carlsen games on the PowerPlayChess channel and I didn't want to repeat ones that I've looked at before. So that's given me a chance to go back and look at a lot of old games of Carlsen's, and well, that's been fascinating itself. Hopefully they're not as well known as some of his later ones. And I've presented them chronologically as well. They're not in order of difficulty. I would say some of these are very easy to spot, but well, I picked them just because there might be one elegant move, for example. Anyway, getting back to the games. In the last video I presented you with this position. Now it's a game between Magnus Carlsen and Hracek Ostmo. Apologies for my pronunciation. Played in the Norwegian Championship in 2005, so Carlsen was only 14 years old. And he has lined up his pieces on the king side, and even the queen and bishop are pointing in the right direction. And now Carlsen made the very obvious sacrifice. Knight takes pawn check, and rook takes pawn, so immediately rook g5 check and mate is threatened. So that's the obvious bit. And black defended with king g7, and this is the position that I left you with in the last video. White to play, what did Carlsen do next? Well, in fact, there's more than one decent way to proceed. One could simply bring the rook back, reinstating the threat of rook g5. If rook g8, creating a square for the king, then I think white just has a blistering attack here. I like this move. Pawn takes pawn, opening up the diagonal for the bishop. So simply rook h4 is good. But Carlsen selected a far more spectacular route to victory. He played rook g5 check, giving up the rook on h6. Now he followed up with bishop c1. So Carlsen is now a rook and a knight down, but the king is stuck. Simply can't escape from the line of the bishop. There's not a lot that black can do here. Black made the best of it. He played pawn takes pawn. Now rook g4 check, and you can see the king hasn't really got a decent square. It could come to h5, but then rook h4 is mate. So black has to interpose with the queen, so queen e3. So white can get the queen back. So rook h4 check. Well, the king can come back, but this is obviously winning for white. Black interposed with a knight, so that threatens the rook. So yeah, it's not so simple. White can't just plunge in, so he has to give up the rook, and this is a really nice piece of calculation from Carlsen. So after this, he gives a check with the queen. Now, of course, if the queen interposes, then that can just be taken. So the king staggers on. Now, black has two rooks for the queen, but of course the problem is the king. And Carlsen has worked out that he can keep the king in a mating net. So rook c8, hitting the bishop. And now a very nice move, which I'm sure Carlsen had foreseen a few moves previously. King g2. Now there's no rook check because the queen covers. So rook takes c1, and now it's mate. Check. Queen check. If king h5, then g4 is mate. And this is also the end. Beautiful finish. And a very nice piece of calculation from Magnus Carlsen. Okay, my next game. This was played in the German Bundesliga in 2007. So Carlsen, by this stage, well, you can see his rating is 2698. So he's got seriously strong in the space of a couple of years. And he's playing very experienced grandmaster Hracek. Carlsen has reached this endgame where he has rook and pawn endgame with this extra pawn, so just one step away from queening. But at the moment the rook is prevented from moving away because of rook takes pawn. So first of all, he gets his king into the game. Now black can do nothing here. He can just check and wait, basically. So Carlsen marches his king up the board. Now the problem is that when the king approaches, so white is ready to move the rook away, but you just keep checking and then come behind the pawn again. So Carlsen fiddles around for a couple of moves, but they reach the same position. Okay, so here it's Magnus Carlsen, white to move. How did he make progress from this position? Solution in the next video.